This is Small Biz Florida, the podcast designed and produced specifically for Florida small business owners and entrepreneurs. Small Biz Florida, talk that works for Florida. This podcast is supported by the Florida SBDC Network, providing the tools, strategies, and expertise to help Florida's business community thrive. Visit the Florida SBDC online at www.floridasbdc.org or contact your local office and get started on your path to success today.
And this is Small Biz Florida, the podcast and broadcast that's all things business across the state of Florida. And if you've been listening and tuning into some recent segments, we are coming to you from the 2022 Florida Economic Development Council's annual conference. We are in beautiful downtown St. Pete. We are at the Bayfront Hilton. And I'm telling you, the room is filling up with economic development professionals, all dedicated to helping Florida's small business community grow and succeed. So incredible conference, great place for Small Biz Florida, the podcast, to be. We've got with us during the conference our very good friend and co-host, Dr. Herb Ricardo, who is a standout business school professor at Indian River State College. Welcome to Small Biz Florida. Thanks for co-hosting with us for the next couple of days here.
Thanks so much, Tom. It's great to be here.
We appreciate having you and your business acumen on the host team here. And we've got really a very interesting guest with us. I'm looking forward to this conversation because I'm such a believer in data collection and communication with customers. It's really, I think, the cornerstone of sales. We've got with us Chandler Jenkins, who serves as a senior consultant with Coastal Cloud. Chandler, welcome to Small Biz Florida.
Thanks for having me.
Can't wait to talk about your primary product, Salesforce. I love it. Had the opportunity to use it. An extremely effective and useful sales tool for an organization that I spent a lot of time with. So looking forward to talking about Salesforce. But as always, start us with a little bit of your background, Chandler, and kind of your pathway to Coastal Cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so I love being able to visit the Sunshine State here. Started at Coastal Cloud almost 4 years ago, but before that, I was in healthcare technology. Worked for a healthcare revenue cycle management company about 7 years. That's where I really started to use Salesforce, kind of entered my way into the Salesforce ecosystem, as I say. Worked there in kind of a sales role, sales operations role. Like I said, really using it in that regard. And then I went to another healthcare technology firm that was not using Salesforce. And that's when I really learned how much I love Salesforce.
Right.
I was one of the people there who was really kind of blowing the horn for needing to use Salesforce. And they ultimately never made the change. But at that point, I had a friend who was at Coastal who reached out and said, hey, we're doing some really great stuff here. All Salesforce, we're doing exciting things, building exciting solutions for people who really need it. I think you would really like it here. So I made the jump, and I haven't looked back since.
Nice. So talk to us a little bit about Coastal, mission, purpose of the organization Coastal Cloud.
Yeah. Coastal Cloud is headquartered here in Palm Coast, Florida. We are strictly a Salesforce shop. There's a lot of different consulting firms that'll go out, it's either Salesforce or it's Amazon Web Services, or you can do a lot of different things, but we're only Salesforce. And we are one of the only firms that's completely onshore as well. So very, very different in that way. You're not going to get customer service that's, in India or Poland or other different things like that. So it really differentiates us in the market. And we do everything. So Salesforce can do anything. We have folks in marketing solutions, finance solutions, sales. I'm on our public sector team. So we really run the gamut of it. Whatever you need done in Salesforce, we have a team who can handle it.
And I guess for those, again, our audience, our small business owners looking for resources, looking for assistance programs, tools, and that's what our podcast is all about. Talk a little bit about Salesforce. purpose of Salesforce. Why would a small business owner need to understand
Sure.
A customer relationship management type software?
Yeah, absolutely. Salesforce is a CRM, a customer relationship management tool. It's a way to track everything that you do with your customers or with your leads who aren't even customers yet. It's a way just to stay organized. If you don't stay organized, things will start to slip through your fingers. You'll have that hot lead and then you'll forget to call them back, or you won't send them the email, or whatever the case may be. Salesforce allows for tracking of all of that. And depending on how you set it up, automation in certain ways of, as soon as this person hits my website, I want to send them an email, or I want to create a task for myself that tells me to call them, or tells me to call them in a week, or however you decide your cadence needs to be. As that small business, being able to set that up to really kind of spoon feed you or spoon feed your team exactly what needs to be done, it's invaluable. I mean, if you can find that good rhythm and be able to set that up in a CRM of how you want to reach out and things of that nature, it can be super helpful.
What I loved about Salesforce, and I told you before we kind of went on the air here, that I was responsible for a sales organization for a number of years. Well, I guess I spent my better part of my career in a sales organization. We were a equipment dealership, and I used the old ACT program. I don't even know if that's still around anymore.
It is.
But I used that, and of course, a little cumbersome, but it took me a couple of years. I unfortunately, I didn't at the time know about products like Salesforce and your kind of support, but I just found it so important. And with the group that I was responsible for when I came home with the college, I just found it so important that my greatest use for the data was to be able to run reports quickly, so I could assess exactly where we were against monthly objectives, quarterly objectives. I could see what we had in the pipeline. I could assess which salesman had what deals. Was there something I could do as a manager to help close that deal? So it really allowed me to have kind of what I called flash reports to quickly assess where we were against objectives. Is that a fair assessment of kind of one of the purposes of the database?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can get real-time information of if somebody has entered a deal, 1 minute ago, and you run a report, that deal is now in your report. If it's phone calls, if it's any type of record that you put into the system, you can put into a report. My mantra, if you will, is data-driven decisions. I love reports in Salesforce and the dashboards as well. So yes, one report is great. If one is good, then 10 must be better. So if you can put together, a good dashboard that really shows you all of your KPIs, all your metrics that you're needing, what's my team doing in terms of phone calls? What's my team doing in terms of deals, created, proposals sent out? You can build all of that and be able to see it all in kind of one click and say, okay, here's where we are today. Here's where we are in the quarter. Here's where we are in the year. So on and so forth. However you need to set it up, any type of date range, any type of team or grouping of people. And then there's a lot of different kind of graphs to be able to visually represent that data. You go in front of that board, the last thing they want to see is a spreadsheet. Say, show me the pie graph, show me the bar graph, show me something linear that's going up to the right. And you're able to represent all of that in Salesforce really, really easily.
Yeah, absolutely great stuff, Chandler. And, one of the things that I think about is the data overload today, right? We're talking about data. Everybody wants data, but how much, how vast, right? And this is a way to control it, isn't it? That's what you're doing.
Absolutely. And this is not a tool where you need a data scientist. So recently in so many organizations, they want to bring on that data scientist, that data expert to really go in and crunch numbers out of an Access database, or put together 10 or 12 different Excel sheets and be able to run all that together. If you have it in Salesforce and you use the CRM as you should, you can run simple reports, create a dashboard, and have stuff really right there at your fingertips that anybody on the team could be able to create, run, edit. It's a really valuable tool for the fact that it can be so easy to use.
And so you mentioned KPIs, and that's so important. The relationship. So you go into the organization and you work with the managers, you work with the individuals, right? Connecting their KPIs to managing the data?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the first places that we start. Again, implementing software can be a little bit overwhelming for some of these folks. They might have never implemented a software before. And so they don't exactly know sometimes exactly what they need. So I'll say, you know what, let's take a look at your reports. Your reports, we can work backwards from there. You need to report to the board about this capital investment. You want to talk about these types of jobs. We know that we're going to have to find a home for that data in the system. So at the very bare minimum, you need all of this. So it's, like I said, it's a good place for us to start, and it makes them feel like, okay, this system is really going to be built for us. It's going to capture exactly what we need, and these are going to be our reports. When we first kick off a project, we say, okay, send us your data and send us your reports that you use. Scribble them out if you want. Just let us know kind of what you need, and it really helps drive the project.
Well, Dr. Ricardo, too, you bring up KPIs, and that really has become the buzzword, of course, in business now. And one of the concepts that I work with small business owners on is identifying those, 4, 5, 6 primary KPIs, primary ratios, because what we use those for is to quickly assess whether we're on target or we're off. And then if we're off target, then how do we fix the problem? So again, Salesforce offers us that opportunity through a dashboard like you're speaking of to quickly assess. I mean, one quick glance, are we on track or are we not? Is that, again, a fair assessment? A fair assessment of the dashboard?
Absolutely. And again, you can report on anything. And sales is always going to be the big part. That's where Salesforce was born out of. Salesforce, sales. I mean, but it can be anything. If you're, a small business that is doing support for tech organizations, you want to look at case closure times. If you want to look at case open rates, so many different things. You can, if there is data in it in Salesforce, you can run reports on it.
And talk about kind of the different segments too. This isn't just for for-profit small businesses. I mean, you talk about you come out of the public sector. I mean, so this could be used for, EDCs, EDO organizations. This could be used for private enterprise, private business like I was in. Could be used for nonprofits. So really there's, Salesforce could be used in any type of organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is, a lot of public for-profit businesses. But, the nonprofits sector is one that Salesforce does very well. It's called the Salesforce.org, where they actually will give free licenses to what is considered to them a nonprofit instance. Unfortunately, as many of our EDC friends say, they are nonprofit, and in fact they are. They're also in Salesforce as a government entity, right? So they don't get to qualify for those nice free licenses. But yes, Salesforce is all over the place. If it's it could be the Department of Defense, it could be something that big. Or it could be a one-person EDO in a really small rural town. It's the most scalable solution that I've seen, and it really does work for anything in between as well.
That's great. And going along with that, do you all, when working with an organization, do you make suggestions on specific databases that the organization may want to look into for particular clients, or because as it's a sales program, or do you just specifically focus on the organization itself?
It can be both. So when we are working with a client, every client is different. They all have different needs. So depending on what they are looking for in a database, if they need something that is strictly Salesforce, strictly CRM related, Salesforce knocks it out of the park. If they're looking for something, especially in the EDO, EDC world, there's a lot of, databases they're needing around properties, sites, different things like that. We have a couple other folks who are here that can be integrated well with Salesforce. And we do that kind of work as well. As long as what we're doing ultimately is, working hand in hand with Salesforce, we will integrate that, get those different databases in, and make sure everything's working together.
That's great.
And Coastal Cloud, as you said, early in our conversation here, you said basically that is what Coastal Cloud does. You are a Salesforce support organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the way Salesforce works, and I didn't know this until I got in kind of the administration side of it, Salesforce sells the licenses. They allow you access to log in to Salesforce.com. They do not set up or do kind of services of the implementation. They have a partner ecosystem that has thousands of partners. Some of them are very broad and they go kind of all across the spectrum. Some are very niche and they do one thing. There's just a way to go about kind of finding who you want to work with. Salesforce will recommend who they like, different things like that. So it's an interesting way to work. It was eye opening to me when I first started how it all works.
Is Salesforce really kind of the market share leader in this CRM? I would assume it's the most widely used CRM.
Absolutely. Salesforce is the number one CRM in the world. They've been ranked that for like 10 or 15 years. Their stock symbol is CRM. They are it. So there's others out there, and there's others out there by big organizations. But in terms of just a great cloud computing CRM, they are the best.
Wow. How does one find out more information about potentially, collaborating with Coastal Cloud to implement and deploy Salesforce in their organizations?
Yeah, you can definitely go to coastalcloud.us. That is our website. A lot of different information on there about all of our solutions, all of our different teams. Whether you're looking for marketing solutions or you're looking to staff a call center or you're trying to, do something in the public sector, we do lots of work in economic development, grants management, workforce development. Or if you are a small business who's just looking to do what we call a Sales Cloud quick start. It's, get me started quickly, get me started for a very cost-effective way.
Right.
I need reports on sales. I need reports on my leads. I need things of that nature. I don't need the world, get me started. And then maybe come back for round two a couple years later. The business has grown. We do that all the time. There's always kind of a crawl, walk, run. And that's what we like to see with a lot of our small businesses that are starting with Salesforce.
And that was going to be a question I had too, is that Salesforce really is the kind of product that covers the entire width of the business sizes. I mean, you start with a small organization, and of course you can also work with larger companies. So you really have solutions and products and tools and support and services for that whole line of businesses.
Absolutely. Like I said, there could be Salesforce can be used for a one-person operation, or it's used exclusively to run, Fortune 50 companies.
Wow.
Salesforce runs their business on Salesforce. There's a lot of apps out there that, think of like the App Store for your phone. There's an App Store for Salesforce. So things that they don't even do natively, they have partners who just build apps. So if you need, some special accounting software or anything like that, there's probably an app for it in the Salesforce system that you can incorporate to really run your entire business on the Salesforce platform, which I really like and really recommend. You don't need 50 vendors for things. Have Salesforce, use the ecosystem as it's built and just kind of have one solution that incorporates everything versus, who's my vendor for this? Who's my vendor for that? And, it's the end of the year. I got to reconcile all these things. Just have your Salesforce licenses, have it implemented correctly, and you really have one vendor to deal with. And if it's a great solution and it's a great relationship you have, you'll love it. It'll be the best thing you ever did.
Well, as I told you, I had the opportunity to use Salesforce, engage with Salesforce, and use it as a tool to manage our division. And I was very impressed. A great tool. Can't say enough good about it. And if I were ever to go back into small business, especially if we had that sales component, I would absolutely use Salesforce. A great tool.
Yeah, I can't say enough about it. Like I said, when I moved to the company that didn't use Salesforce, that's when I knew that I was a Salesforce guy. That was it for me.
Dr. Ricardo, anything else? Just Dr. Ricardo, in terms of students, I mean, I know in marketing, we teach students things like CRMs. They understand this, but
you want to know something that's really kind of interesting, to have you here, Chandler. I actually run a capstone program where the last course that the students take is working with organizations and everything else. And this one particular company needed to build its sales position, and he actually used Salesforce and recommended. So again, a student is recommending to a local company, which was a pretty good sized company too, onto how to increase their control of working with their clients and everything else. And so I think this was absolutely terrific. It's just great.
A lot of students are going to be ahead of the curve in terms of cloud software and getting some of these older companies off of on-premise servers and different things of that nature. And at Coastal right now, we're also doing a couple of different programs where we are working with universities. I went to the University of Kentucky. We have a Lexington office. We're actually getting interns from the school, from their Salesforce club that they have there that they started.
Excellent.
We've had probably a dozen different interns. We've had a handful of them start as full time once they graduated. So we're really getting people kind of at that ground level, learning Salesforce and moving into a booming industry that has so much job potential. They are going to be very happy with the decisions that they made to follow that program.
That's great. That's nice. Good to hear.
All right, one more time, Chandler. How does someone get engaged with and understand all that you can provide them in terms of support in multiple functions of their business?
Yeah, absolutely. Get on our website, coastalcloud.us. Lots of different ways there to contact us, from email address, phone number. We have a chat bot on there, all run by Salesforce, surprisingly enough. And there's a wealth of information out there. And if you reach out, somebody will definitely get back to you, get you in touch with the right team for whoever would handle your needs.
All right. I like it. It is Chandler Jenkins, Senior Consultant with Coastal Cloud, one of your exclusive providers and service providers for Salesforce, an incredible tool to help manage multiple aspects of your business. We are here. It is Small Biz Florida at the 2022 Florida Economic Development Council Conference here in beautiful downtown St. Pete. Chandler, thank you again for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll be bringing you more segments right here from the FEDC conference. Stay tuned. This is Small Biz Florida.
This has been Small Biz Florida, created and produced by the Florida Small Business Development Center at Indian River State College. Your host for Small Biz Florida is Tom Kindred. Partners for Small Biz Florida include WPSL and WSTU and Indian River State College, named the 2019 winner of the Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence.